Eeks from Colorado. The thing that has driven me in the most is just how much fun it is to hang out with friends, to paint. I mean, it's like somebody else who likes to enjoy fishing and stuff like that. They go out, they grab their bush light, and they fish for hours. It's the same thing for us, except we paint walls and we have fun, we hang out. And that's probably what's kept me in it so long, is just the enjoyment I get from hanging out with friends and the people I've met from it. But yeah, definitely, I would say that just the people I've met and the friendship is probably what's really kept me into graffiti.
Yo, I'm Igneous Oner, TNR crew from New Mexico, Albuquerque, Santa Fe area. Like I said, TNR crew, TYO, POX, NF. Yeah. Why do I like graffiti? It's like it's a love-hate issue. I don't know, because once you get so involved into it, it's just, it can be controlling, like an ex-wife, or it just controls every movement. When I go out, I see letters and I just think about graffiti, or when I'm trying to get things done in my life that are gonna further advance me towards something better, I see graffiti and I choose to go paint instead of getting what I have to get done. And it's like, causes a ruckus, it causes an issue. Like, it is what it is. It's a love-hate issue. That's, you love it or you hate it, or you love it and hate it at the same time. But it keeps me centered as a person, like as a being. I just chill. Once I paint, if I don't get to paint, I'll be like angry, like ornery, like somebody didn't get their coffee in the morning or something. But when I get to paint, I just like release and just, I'm good for like a few days, but keep it routine. I try to do it as often as I can, just to, it's more like an addiction, I guess.
My name is 6 p.m. 6 is 6 and 6 VIPM. Higher. I rep POX, Orphans, and Visual Music Crew. For me, it was pretty much random. It was like, I've always been an artist since as far as I can remember, and you know, I didn't want to grow up, go to art school and be considered an artist. You know, it wasn't something I was really into, because at the time, you know, I was doing my hip hop thing and used to spit flows, and you know, I'd seen a few people from my community getting into it, and well, you know, I thought I'd give it a shot. You know, later on, it just became an addiction and something I was really into, and the more I studied it, the more I learned that there's more to it than just it being an art form, and there's more to it than just doing letters. There's like good people involved, you know, it's I don't really know, man, how to describe that, but for me it was a random act, something I didn't expect to really fall in love with, but I did, and like ever since I discovered I had the talent, you know, I just didn't stop, and I don't think I could ever picture myself stopping. Like, I tell my friends all the time, man, that when we're old and we have our grandkids, I'll probably be walking my grandkids to the ice cream shop. Grandpa's hitting up tags still getting up. No joke, man. I don't care how much trouble I get in for this. I'm in it till death, dude. This is something I really want to do in life, and I'm very serious about where I go with it.
My name's AWOC. I write for POX Crew, NF, TE. Yeah. It's the extremity of the situation, I guess. I've been kind of a risk taker, thrill seeker type most of my life, and then when my dad passed away, it just became my primary outlet. Like, really, I was in it just to vandalize at first, until I started getting schooled in by some heavy hitters, like, I was fortunate enough to meet a big name writer from El Paso when I very first started, and he kind of schooled me in, and then I met Six, and we kind of helped each other out, and yeah, I'm like, I forgot the question.
My graph style varies. Like, I like to think about myself as like a, not to be full of myself, but like a crispy person. Like, I like things to be clean, cleanliness, you know what I mean? Like, my style is symmetrical. I like that flow, just like the balance. Like, I like to balance things through life, people, like anything I do, like I like to have that balance with whoever, whatever. Just, I like things to be clean or kind of funky. Like, I like music a lot, so like I get that vibe. And like I see a lot of breakdancers and stuff because I'm like around that a lot. And like when people pop and lock, and like it just gives me that extra kick. Like when you see that letter, just like you get that flow going, and you just like, it's like an endless amount of things you could do with it. It's just...
For me, I've always tried to be as original as I could be with my style, and that's some of the credit that I've gotten throughout my graffiti career. Is you never know what Eeks is going to put on the wall. It could be one style, it could be a different style. It's not consistent, and which it not being consistent kind of makes the inconsistency my style. So that's like who I am, I guess, and it comes out through my art.
My particular style says that, you know, I do the devil's work, man. I'm not your typical graffiti artist. Like, my graffiti says stay back, because it's I don't want to be your friend. I don't want you around me trying to be my friend. If, you know, we don't have anything to say to each other, get back. Because, like I said, you know, my style has its, to where some people do artistic styles, and mine is just, like I said, up in your face. And it, you know, I like to think of my graffiti as a reflection of myself, like looking at myself in the mirror. And it's a story all on its own. But while I'm at it, you know, I started Graph because, well, I wanted to intimidate people, and I'm like heavily against religions, and, you know, I mean, I write 666, and, you know, it's me getting back at religion, you know, in my own way. I mean, nothing against the few friends I do have that are involved in religious activities, but, you know, just because you're in religion doesn't make us not friends and stuff, so.
As of now, my style would say, like, I guess, I'm becoming more tight-knit, per se. I was kind of a reckless bomber at first, but now I'm tightening up the loose ends, and you can see my style coming together, like, literally like a knot, a string. I'm an orphan, so I go from here to there, you know, and like, my style is many. I wouldn't say a master of 1,000 styles, but I'm a jack of many, I could say. Like, I've picked up different techniques and styles from different people, like 6PM. He's definitely influenced my style, and there's a couple other cats like Buku from Albuquerque, and yeah, like yeah, I couldn't really say the reflection aspect of it.
I try to, like, when I actually do murals and stuff like that, I try to like incorporate like what I was raised around. Like, I'm from northern New Mexico, and like there's a lot of native history, like native Indians. I'm not native myself, I'm Spanish, but there's a lot of like colonial history in Santa Fe and stuff like that. Like, I like to incorporate the scenery and like just like the sapphire skies at night, like, in my pieces, because that's just so gorgeous. Like, where I'm from, you don't get to see that every day. I've been to other cities and all you see is like a grimy gray sky. But I like to incorporate my culture, just my history, my people, and also like the people that I came up on with graffiti. Like, being a kid and going into a tunnel, like and seeing the graffiti that I came up on, and never thinking I was going to meet the people, but then I actually started associating with them and just hanging out with them, and they took me as their own. And like, I get little bits of their style, or you could see like when I do a letter, it'll have a certain kick, and you could associate that with a certain writer, or just different little things. Like it always varies, but mainly like my culture, what I'm about, my music, my culture, my people.
A lot of my art, like for canvas type stuff and things like that, have a lot of features of Colorado, like where I grew up. A lot of trees, a lot of self-imagery of how I like abuse my body by drinking and smoking. So yeah, I guess everything I paint has something to do with me and where I come from in Colorado, and influences I have, I guess. Yeah, really. I guess my style really does portray who I am.
I couldn't really say too much on that topic because like I'm just barely getting into my Native American heritage, and I've recently started with Native American art now, and you know, I've just only started it, so it's something new that I'm working on and in the making of right now. And you know, I'm sad to say, but you know, I'm just barely learning my own culture right now. So, but as far as graffiti being a culture, it's like I respect it a lot and respect everyone else that's involved in it, and to me it's a culture all on its own for myself, and I do it religiously. Not that it's a religion, it's just it's what keeps my mind off of doing other things such as drugs, gangs, violence. You know, it keeps me out of trouble, and without graffiti, well, I might not even be here right now.
When people cover my art, I don't take it personal because it's a job and we all gotta make our pay. Like, so, like if it's some dude that was just out there covering my shit up just to do it, just to be rude or whatever, obnoxious, you know what I mean? I understand, like, you have to do what you have to do. The government doesn't like it. I'm not totally against the government, but at the same time, it is a rule, it is a law, it's illegal. You know, like, I don't waste too much money going out to get my supplies. Like, that stuff usually comes free, just to be totally honest. Like, we go out and get spray paint for free. But, yeah, I don't take it to heart. It is what it is. Like, they cover it up, and I'm gonna do another one, and I'm not gonna stop. As far as I can see myself going through life, I'm not gonna stop doing graffiti. It's always been a part of me, and like, it always will. And yeah, that's all I could say about that.
Yeah, it really depends on how they went over it, you know, and how much paint had went into it. Because, you know, like I said, like graffiti, it's an expensive habit to have, and you know, it's like, it's upsetting when people go over your stuff, but it depends on who's doing it. Like if it's the city buffing your stuff, you really can't complain about it because you knew it was going to happen. So as far as other writers going over my stuff, I feel the same as any other writer. If you go over my stuff with something whack, you know, I'm going to look for you and I'm going to make you pay for it. But as far as like, if you did something better than me, and like, you have my respect, and it's as long as you top what I'm doing, I don't mind. As far as toys, don't cross me out or you get knocked out.
Sometimes, I mean, it's just the way things go. It wasn't like it was back in the day where you only went over somebody if you were better than him, or you could burn what was on the wall. It's not like that anymore. A legal wall is free for everyone to paint. So out here in Denver with the RTV crew and stuff like that, we've had walls that last a long time just because that idea still hangs around. And like, the walls belong to RTV, so you have to get permission from them to go over it. So it'll last a lot longer. And in the illegal sense, that if I do something, I mean, I want it to last as long as it could, but at the same time, I don't disagree with the fact that people have the right to remove it.
I think that makes it all the more better, really. Like, I hate to see my stuff get buffed, but really it gives me more inspiration to go out and do it again. Like, especially if it's city squad coming and buffing, it's like, we're here to bomb the system, you know what I mean? And like, we're trying to put our name and our pieces everywhere. So when they go over me once, I want to go back and I want to get up twice in the same spot. And when it comes to other kids like crossing me out, I want to split their wig. That's all I could really say. I just want to punch them in the head. But any rider will tell you that. Like, you don't go over another rider, especially somebody that's equal or greater.
My buddy Taser and his homies were out painting a wall out in Commerce City, and they got rolled on while they were on the rooftop, and somebody was filming it the whole time, and he caught everything on camera, but the cops had guns pointed at him, and they just laid down on the roof, and then two other guys jumped off. My friend Taze ended up hiding in the bathroom, and the other guy he was with was able to find like a bum's old shirt and a shopping cart, and I guess he pushed it down the street right past the cops, and they didn't even know it was him. So he just bombed all the way home. That's probably the funniest story I know.
One of my most influential stories on Graph, not that I know the guy personally, but would be the rider Ty. You know, he's like from the West Coast. He was a young cat that was doing his thing. Everybody from coast to coast knew the kid, and he would do whatever it took. And he was out one night catching a spot and got blasted in the back of the head by some fool that just like thought he was trying to rob him and this, that, and the other. And the newspapers writ it off like it was politically correct that this kid was like a reckless endangerment to society, and just let it go at that. Like, he lost his life for doing something that he really loved. And now he remains a true legend, you know. That's something that's really influenced me. Like, he gets up countless times, countless. He was banging on every block with throwies, burners, hand styles.
So this was just pretty recently, like a couple months ago, like maybe a month ago. I was down south in Chuco, El Paso, EP, with the homie Podrido, Rotten Toes. And funny story about this guy, he's a graffiti writer, and like, he's a pretty crazy dude. Met him, he's in a wheelchair and everything. And like, we did our art show and everything. We went to the bar, had a few drinks, and he got kind of tipsy, like he was like faded. So he was like, let's go paint trains, let's go paint trains. And like, we were like, dude, we can't take you, like you're too drunk. Like, he was just acting a fool and stuff. So like, he pursued on to it and just got us to take him out. So we're at this warehouse spot, like hitting some layups, and like, we're next to like a brewing company or whatever, and they have all these crates, like these big plastic crates. So we built like a platform for him so he could paint. Like, he's in a wheelchair. So like, I don't know, we built a big old platform for him and shit, and like we put him up there, and like, we're painting, and like, mind me, he lost his legs in the train yard because he got so drunk and passed out. So like, we're just painting, and I'm like down the train line just painting, and I hear this big crash, like boom, and he's just screaming, and like, he's all pissed. Like, I don't know, he had his beer and stuff, and he was drinking and stuff, and like, he just knocked over the crates and everything, and he was just laying there like doing what he did to lose his legs for graffiti. I don't know, like it's kind of rough, but it's hilarious if you know the guy.
I like to think of myself as more of a freestyle artist. I don't ever go by any papers, no sketches that I did before I take to the wall, you know. It's always off the top of my dome, all raw, gritty, up in your face type style. You know, I have it down to a something that, you know, I just have my styles down, and I'm ready to rock my styles freestyle.
Actually, every wall I paint, even if it's legal or illegal, there's always some kind of plan to it. With legals, I'll sometimes do a sketch and go off of that, or just kind of freestyle it or whatever. But if for illegal stuff, we usually drink all night and then plan it while we're drinking. So that's how that goes.
Personally, like before I go to a wall, it depends on what kind of spot we're gonna hit. If we're gonna like do a street spot, then we'll like kind of lay out a blueprint. I'm a writer that has to have a print in hand when I go to do a burner. But if we're just mobbing the streets, then I just I'll run the throw ups and panel style letters. But the primary thing is plan our exits. We got to plan our exits. Know your way out and have your boys' backs. That's keeping six while you're doing your shit.
I don't really know. I don't really have a plan. It's just like, it depends on how my day was or the reason I'm going out painting. Like, if I had a stressful day or like I have issues in my life that are plaguing me and I need to like vent something out and like just release a part of myself for other people to see how I felt. Like on a sunny day, like I'll paint a bright piece and make it look, you know what I mean? Like just something like that people will enjoy to look at. Or like on a cloudy day, like I'll paint something a little bit dark, like shadows and stuff like that. That like shows like the darker side of myself. Like I always try to express myself through my art. So like hopefully people look at my art and they can vibe off my senses and like I can communicate with people through that. Because like I don't see graffiti as like a totally negative thing. Like I do it with good intentions, but I try to put it out there as, you know what I mean? It is what it is. It's graffiti. It's illegal, but we do it. It is what it is.
At first, I didn't know. When I first got into graffiti, I didn't know what was legal and what wasn't. I didn't know there was a difference until I got older, and then it became this big cliche thing that if you're only painting walls that are legal and you're not doing anything illegal, you're not really a graffiti writer. But I mean, you can give and take from that as much as you want, but I really think that in order to call yourself a true graffiti artist, you have to have earned it from the streets and then taken it to walls.
To me, graffiti is not wrong if it's done in the right way. Like when I grew up, like I was always like exploring. Like out where my grandmother lives, where I grew up, where I was raised, it's a small town, Gallestown, New Mexico. And there's so much history there, you just gotta find it. And as a kid, I found it. But I went out for hikes by myself, like miles. I'd walk like 20 miles in a day, like 9 miles there, 9 miles back, wherever I went. And there's old Indian pueblos and stuff like that that influences me just artistically. Like you find a pottery shard and somebody painted it like, you know what I mean, in the 1400s, like way back in the day when things were really happening, like things were starting to evolve as a nation. And Santa Fe, northern New Mexico, is like one of the oldest areas of the United States, or not oldest, but you know what I mean. But I would walk up to like, there's the Devil's Backbone, San Cristobal. It's this hill and it has a black volcanic outcropping at the top, and the Native Americans, they had their petroglyphs on there, and I just thought that was so cool, like standing in that same spot that somebody did like hundreds of years ago, just standing there where they carved that and why they carved it and what does it mean. It's intriguing. It's like petroglyphs, hieroglyphs, all that. People have been doing graffiti for years in different forms. It wasn't always spray paint, but people have always left their mark on a wall. And is that so wrong? Like, people, that wall, nobody owns that wall, honestly. You own the building, you own the property, but nobody could ever put a price on land because it's of the earth, and that's how I see it. Everything's organic in a sense, and nobody really owns that, because once we're gone, what does that value, you know, what does that really mean? And like graffiti, if it was legal to do graffiti in places, it wouldn't have a value to me. It wouldn't be fun, because I see graffiti as like having fun, getting out there, doing my thing, and it's kind of like an addiction just to see like how many times in a day I could see my name on one, like a couple different spots, like, oh, I painted that last night, or somebody will give me a call and be like, oh, I saw your stuff running on that semi truck you painted coming through the city. And it's like, oh, I painted that in another state. Or going out and painting train cars and getting a picture of it that was taken in, I painted it in New Mexico and it got taken in Seattle or something just crazy like that. And it's, once you get up there in the numbers with your train cars, it's just outrageous. Like, so many people see it and they're forced to see it, just like I'm forced to see a billboard or a Calvin Klein ad on a billboard, but I can't paint graffiti on there and let people see it. That's illegal. People have the right to put a half-naked man on the billboard and make us see it. I don't want to see that shit. I want to paint my stuff on there, and like, some people enjoy it, some people hate it. But if you make it acceptable, I don't see any wrong in it. It's art and it's expressing. And like, through graffiti, people see us as people that wreak havoc. That may be true after too many beers or something, but that's anything in life, you know what I mean? People take anything too far and it's going to become bad at some point. So that's all I have to say about that. Graffiti is love. To me, some people just try to be gangster with it. Everybody has their own opinion on graffiti, as you will see through this video. But yeah.
Well, that's the thing, is when I do canvas work, I can't say I do fine art, but I don't blur the lines. Like, I know where it stands, you know what I mean? Like, I ain't gonna... Every artist is worth something in dollars and cents, but as of now, we're all starving, you know what I mean? Like, you can never put a price on somebody's artwork because it's a piece of their soul. You could offer me all the money in the world, but if it's my favorite piece, I ain't gonna give it to you for you or your mom's soul. It won't be enough.
I'm into, as far as like pursuing artistic value, you mean? As far as artistic value with graffiti, could be carried out in many different ways. Like, I've seen people produce sculptures, clay animation, like clothing, stuff like that. I do a lot of clothing t-shirts. I have one in the car. Graffiti could be all kinds of things. I do body art, I do oil paintings, not so much graffiti. Like, I have my fine art and my graffiti, but I try to separate it, because graffiti is graffiti as far as I'm concerned. Spray paint on a wall is graffiti to me, and canvases I don't consider to be graffiti, even though the letter styles are graffiti, but that's not graffiti. Acrylic paintings, portraits, just, I'm into everything. I'm an artistic person. Like, give me paint and I'll write on something, or paint something, I'll paint a pretty picture, scenery. What we're about, we're from Earth. Like, I like to keep things organic, just be one with Mother Earth.
Nowadays, like with the internet, when I started, there was no internet. There was one website and it took like 30 minutes to download one of the pictures. So we still like traded flicks back and forth, and that's how we kind of like got style from each other, kind of worked off each other more so, and it was where you went, who you met. And nowadays it's kind of like you have some 19-year-old kid who's incredible just because he's been staring at everybody's stuff and using stuff, and they got fancy paint now and they got fancy caps. So kids are getting a lot better, which is making it better, but at the same time I think we're losing the fundamentals of how it started and what it meant to be a real graffiti writer.
That, you know, graffiti is an art form that's not well respected in the art world, so to speak. And, you know, I would like to tell people out there that, you know, we bust our asses off for what we're doing. You know, people don't understand what goes into it, you know, getting all the equipment, getting all the gear and all that, dude. You know, it's hard work for us, and, you know, we're not recognized. We don't get paid for it. We're not looking to get paid for it, but, you know, we do it. because it's for the love of the art, man. And you know, there's nothing more I can say. It's for the love of the art.
Yeah, I would like to say bombing belongs in the streets. I understand fine arts and all the concepts, but like, it's something that can't be domesticated. As much as we'd like to make $100 million off of graph, my personal opinion is it shouldn't be domesticated like that. It thrives in the streets, it grows in the streets. That's where the next generation is gonna get it from. You ain't gonna catch a poor kid from the hood going to the $100,000 gallery and being able to see graffiti. He's gonna catch it in the streets.
For the most part, I would want people to know that it's really not as a negative thing as people make it out to be. Not only that, it's just, it seems like it's bought and sold on like marketing schemes and things like that, but nobody recognizes it when it's on a wall or in their neighborhood. They get a little intimidated by it, but for sure it's on every marketing scheme I think I've seen from the year 2005 to 2011 that's trying to hit the youth uses graffiti, and I don't think they really credit them the way they should.
What graffiti is to me, because everybody has their own perspective on what graffiti is, because graffiti isn't a certain thing. Like, punk rock kids do it, rappers do it, hip hop head kids do it. You know what I mean? Graffiti to me is me expressing myself to let somebody see what I do, send my message, whatever it may be. Like, whether I have a negative thing to say and let it be put on a wall, or if I have something nice to say, or if I'm in a bad neighborhood and I'm painting something pretty because all these kids have to look at the drugs going around their neighborhood and all like the problems that are plaguing their life, like maybe give them some light, something brighter to look at. Like, because I've been plagued by a lot of stuff through my life, and it was like my graffiti is my only outlet to things. Like, it's something that's always been there ever since I could remember. Like, just like any artist has their aspect on what their art is to them. Oil paintings, fine artists, people that make sculptures, like everybody has their own value to their art. But graffiti to me is just, it's love. Graffiti's love to me. I meet people through it. I've gotten into fights, I've gotten hurt, I've gotten stabbed. I mean, like, it's a lifestyle. Like, it's something that you really, if you're gonna do it right and just go balls to the walls. Excuse my P's and Q's, but just, that's what it is. It's life.
My personal message is, well, I just pretty much put it all down right there, dude. Any last minute words would be a couple of shout outs. Thank my family, those that supported me. I'd like to thank my crew, Pox and BM, friends and loved ones. They all support me in this, and it's a good feeling when your family's standing behind you, telling you that you can do it. They know you could get thrown in jail for it. They know that, but yet they love you so much that they'll support you in what you're doing. And I'm glad to have came from a family that does support this lifestyle, and they know I'm not going to stop. And for me, this is only the beginning. I've only just begun. So those out there, I've only started, so you'll see more of me out there.